forever. Okay. Starting recording, and okay. Yes, we're recording in theory.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Eavesdrop In. I'm Seth.
Hi, hi. I'm Fey.
And today we are going to get into some solutions. So right now, everyone is very stressed. Well, I don't know about everyone, but a lot of people around the world are very stressed about this pandemic that we're in. And it's very real. The fear may not be real, but the pandemic is real. And so a lot of things are happening. Our lives are upside down, and we're not knowing how to react. And all the information and stimulus we're getting right now is affecting us emotionally. We're stressing, we're reacting in fear. And as a healer, I feel strongly that sometimes that is almost worse than anything else that can happen, because it does lower your immune system and everything else. So today we're going to talk about some work we do healing wise, working with the chakras, Chakras. They're energy points of the body. They start at the root, which is down at the tailbone. They go all the way up to the top of the head, the crown chakra, and they each have a different energy frequency. There's a color associated with them. There's a sound associated with them. They affect different parts of the endocrine system. They affect different parts of us emotionally and spiritually. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, and then we're going to do a group chakra balancing. We're going to give it a try and see what happens. So, are you ready to go, Faye?
Almost. I wanted to add one teeny thing to what you said. One of the things also with everybody putting out this very fearful energy, it's also affecting kind of the planetary energy. So it's like starting to feed off of itself and developing a resonance. And so I think if we can start trying to get people healing and relaxing and bring that kind of an energy more to the planet and to everybody around us, things will probably move out of this easilier, more easily. And, hopefully people will come out of it in a lot better shape than they might otherwise.
Right, and the thing we have to remember is this will pass. Eventually this will pass. And the majority of us are going to survive this. So we have got to be in a position to where when this is over, we can heal quickly and efficiently. And so if we go ahead and start the healing process now, perhaps it'll help us not, even if we get this virus, maybe it won't have the extreme effect on us. But the other thing too is when it's all over, we can detoxify quicker from the fear and stress that we've been under. So this is our solution for you.
And on top of
one more thing.
But one more, yeah. The other thing is that we are in a period of change on a planetary basis, astrologically and stuff. We're in a period of change, and the change that we're going through is one that indicates a lot of social revolution and change. So the other thing that I think is happening here is that we are in the process of birth. And currently we're in that birth canal, and each of these weird little panic things that are going on, all these weird things are like the contractions, but it's like we're being moved into the next phase, into the next area of development for people. So again, it's uncomfortable, it's scary, it feels like we're facing the unknown, but this is like a birth process. And so hopefully we get out of this, the doctor spanks us on the ass, and we're good to go. And I actually I pay him extra for
that. Okay, so let's start with the root chakra. This is again at the bottom of the tailbone. The chakra itself is actually located between the rectum and the genitalia. And
the taint. It's the taint, which people love suntanning currently. I don't understand.
I just got Brazilian wax in my head for some reason. But anyway.
I would shake that stuff out immediately.
The root chakra is affects our ability, our physicality, and our the need to survive, the survival mode, and a sense of material well-being. It's associated with the color red or black or brown. It's the ground chakra. It's our feminine energy. The lower chakras are the feminine energy. It connects us to Mother Earth. When it's in balance, we have a confidence about our ability to support ourselves, to care for our bodies, setting physical boundaries in the material world. When it's out of balance, we don't trust ourselves. We don't even really feel like we have a right to exist. We don't take care of ourselves physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. We feel unsafe. We feel violated by others frequently. Or, conversely, we may push ourselves to overachieve at the exclusion of emotional or spiritual realities. We may become so aggressive in these areas. And one of the things that Fey and I have discussed is it's real easy for when your ground chakra is off kilter and you're not feeling good about yourself, you're going to attract predators. And so it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy that you feel like people are violating you because they are, because they can. When you're balanced there, your energy shuts them off. They just can register right away that you're not going to be a victim to that. What does this affect physically?
As far as the endocrine system, it affects the adrenal glands. Did I say that right? The adrenal glands. I can't remember. Anyway, it also has an effect on things like the spinal column and the kidneys. One of the things with the chakras that you find is if a chakra is blocked, you will tend to display physical symptoms of that. And the easiest one to talk about is the throat chakra. When that's closed up, on a physical level, you'll have a tendency to get a sore throat and have problems breathing through or talking, expressing emotions. Apparently, I'm blocked right now. But it's very hard to talk. It's very hard to express yourself. And they even, a lot of times you'll find that there are sayings that kind of put it in perspective, like, when throat chakra is closed, it's because you're finding things that are hard to swallow, in your life. It's like, you're choking back the things that you want to say. It's that kind of thing. So each one of these things goes through and affects various parts of the body as well as the energies and stuff.
Well, the adrenal glands put out adrenaline. So when it's in balance, you have a perfect amount of energy. When it's out of balance, you're either very sluggish or you're almost manic with your energy. And it's not an even energy. It's sporadic energy.
Yeah, that makes me wonder, just sort of a little offline, but I'm wondering with people who have like manic depression, if it could be that their chakra is so out of balance or out of control there that they're flip-flopping between those two. I wonder if it would have that psychological effect.
Well, the question I have about that is, does the chakra being out of balance play into bipolar, manic depression, or does bipolar knock the chakra out of sync?
Egg? Chicken?
Because, the manic depression is a chemical imbalance in the brain.
Right. But
so the question is, where does that chemical come from, though? I mean, which gland or whatever is putting out that chemical?
The adrenals.
Well, I wonder.
No, I mean, it's because, all of your glands basically are affected by this.
Right.
But, I'm assuming to some degree that the chakras work sort of like a domino type of thing, where it's like if one goes, then the next goes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure that's correct. Um, but it's like it makes sense that if a part of the body or the energy system is out of balance, that other parts of the body will get out of balance. It's like your spine. If you've got a vertebrae that's out, then all the muscles and everything else start trying to compensate, and so they start getting out, and other parts of your spine, and pretty soon you're like, oh, all crunched up. So
Right.
anyway, yeah.
So the sound that is associated with the root chakra is a very low, as in cup. And the thing that I have here talks about doing it 7 times. We're not going to do that today. At the end of this, we're just going to go.
We like you guys more than that.
You have to work up to the 7 times because it makes me really lightheaded. But it is the feminine energy, and it's oddly enough a lower sound. As we go up the chakras, it becomes a higher pitch, but it becomes a masculine energy. It's very strange how that works. You would think the higher pitch would be feminine, but in this case, it's not. So that leads us to our second chakra, which is the sacral chakra, or the navel. I mean, it's right below the navel. And the color that is associated with that is orange. And what the sacral does is it affects our emotions and our sexuality. And so it's our ability to understand our emotions, particularly the ones like anger, resentment, sadness, and grief. We understand them. We understand where they're coming from. We're able to process them through that. It's also our sexual center and corresponds with how we feel about ourselves as sexual beings. So if you have a lot of guilt and shame sexually, then you're probably out of whack on the sacral chakra. It's low. It's just right below the actual navel. I work a lot with the navel itself because that's more of a nurturing. It's where we get fed in the womb. It's more the ability to receive and give nurturing. That can be blocked off too, but in this case, the sacral, which is just below that, is our sexuality. And it's a very powerful chakra because most of us, our sexuality, we need that for the survival of the species type of deal. But, if you have no sexual urges or you have an abundance of it, then it means that chakra is out of whack. When it's in whack, we have... when it's in whack, patty whack. Don't make me go there. You may feel, when it's imbalanced, you may feel confident in expressing your emotional truths to ourselves and to others. And you may feel comfortable expressing our sensuality and creativity appropriately and freely. And that's the thing, is the appropriately and freely. When it's out of whack, you can be overly seductive, which usually when people are overly...
That's me. I'm definitely overly seductive at all times.
Absolutely. What that says about you is that your self-esteem is very low. You're
exactly.
trying to feed into your self-esteem by attracting this with sexuality. It also gives us trouble expressing our emotions because shame and guilt, or else we feel entitled to express our emotions in unbounded, obtrusive, and violating ways. So these people that are sexually volatile, that they violate people and all, their sacral chakra is out of whack also. So the tone that goes with that is very low. Yes?
I'm going to stop you there, and I'm going to do the physical things.
Okay.
Just because that's how we've been doing it, is go through the things and then the physical and then the sound. Is that okay?
Sure.
Doesn't matter because I already stopped you.
Ooh, that's a sound.
So with the, I want to backtrack briefly onto the other the base chakra. One of the things I forgot to mention about that is that also deals with elimination. Okay. You were talking about the grounding parts of it, and grounding is part of eliminating stuff. If you go out and ground yourself, it's so you can get rid of energies. On a very physical level, this is how we get rid of, products, byproducts from food and liquids that we break down
So
and stuff.
basically, if your root chakra is blocked, you're full of shit.
Or maybe not so much.
Or pissed off.
True. So I just wanted to add that in there. Also, with the sacral, there is still some part of elimination that goes with that, and that's because it has to do in part with the male female energies and the getting rid of those, the release, whether it's through menstrual, whether it's through sexual activity, it's still releasing and getting things out of the body. The glands that affects are the gonads on the guy. I'm assuming that, well, it also says the reproductive system. So, I'm assuming that all the ovaries and everything in that are good.
That
But
whole
the only
area,
gland,
absolutely.
yeah, the only gland it mentions there is the gonads. I was trying to think if there was a female equivalent, and I forgot my medical degree in my other pocket, so I don't know.
So our ovaries not.
I don't know if those are glands or not,
I'm
frankly.
not. I am not a doctor. I just play one on this show.
Just play one with no, never mind. You just play one with anybody who you can.
So the sound that we make for the healing of the second chakra is a low pitched ooh, as in you, and the color associated that again is orange. So you ready to go to the third chakra?
I am.
The third chakra is the solar plexus. It's located right at the above the diaphragm, right where the sternum meets. It's that soft spot in there, the sternum and the lower cavity. It is our willpower and our confidence. So it's the ability to take control, forge a path, and achieve personal goals. It's located above the navel, but under the ribs. If this is in balance, we feel confident in our ability to make decisions and set goals. We'll be on a
cat blessing.
If this is balanced, we feel confident in our ability to make decisions and set goals. We're unafraid to say yes or no and set boundaries. And we feel confident with acknowledging ourselves as powerful. When this is out of balance, we feel like we cannot say no to others. We have no boundaries. We may feel overwhelming need to please and feel a lack of confidence in seeking our own goals. We always put other people first. Or if it's really out of whack, we can also walk all over other people's boundaries. That we have a sense of grandiosity and narcissism, it says, in getting our happiness, being pushy and domineering. But I'm going to take this one step further because there's something that I work with in the solar plexus that's real important to me. And that is where what I term the God spark is located. It's our gut instinct. It is that place where we have our spiritual fingerprint. It makes us spiritually unique, and we get information from that. And as we go through life, we absorb trauma and we absorb stress, and all that makes noise in that area that separates us from our highest self. That fingerprint, that God spark, is like our highest self. It's connection with us, our best self. When that gets out of whack, it's because we have all that stuff gathered up in there. A lot of times it's memories. People that have PTSD real bad have problems in that area. Unblocking that can really trigger them. You got to be very careful when working with that. What have you got on that on the physical level?
On the solar plexus, the gland it affects is the pancreas, the pancreatic area. And it affects things like the stomach, the liver, and the gallbladder, which it's interesting. That's one of the ones that I know I have problems with. And I do have like stomach problems a lot. I've had to have a gallbladder removal. Um, you know, my liver, yeah, they say that I'm getting a little bit of problems with that. You know, one of the things that I find interesting about this is the last week I went through a difficult situation with somebody I care about very deeply. And the thing I thought was interesting was that it was like it affected when things were going on, it affected me like right here, right between, here's like what one and there's the other. And it's like right in this area was the area that was affected. And it literally felt like I got punched in the gut, you know. And a lot of times when we go through a traumatic experience or an unexpected thing, at least for me, I can't talk for anybody else, but I will get that feeling like, being gut punched, you know, or something. I mean, that's one of the other things is when we interact with other people, we tend to, our energies merge with that person. And so their energy will strongly affect you, with things like that. And that's why, again, don't know for anybody else. I know that when I've been in a relationship that's ended, that first realization of, oh my God, it's over, will bring that punch to the gut feeling. The next thing is that I will personally almost feel like a tearing in my chest. It feels like something's being ripped out of my chest. And that is, I believe, the imprint of that person's energy that you've put into yourself. And so it's like very physical sensations in these chakric areas as well when they're being damaged. It's stuff that you literally feel physically,
One of the things that needs to probably be mentioned here is that each chakra has its own energetic wavelength. The lower chakras have a higher frequency, which makes them, oddly enough, the higher the frequency, I may get this all wrong. But
you want to start over?
No, I'm just not going to go any further. But look it up. It's all online. But they each have their own. Look it up. It's online. Each of these has their own wavelength, and so they connect with each other. So they can work in tandem. I mean, if in your case, your navel chakra, which is the need to be nurtured and to nurture, was cut off, immediately, and it also any type of past trauma you've had, the scab has been peeled off on the solar plexus. So of course you're going to feel a lot of pain in there. And any other heartbreak is going to be in the heart chakra, which we're going to get to here in a minute. So it's affecting all three of those together, which is not unusual. These are not, they are independent and they're interdependent. They work independently, but they also work with each other in conjunction with each other. That's what makes us a whole human being, a whole spiritual being.
Yeah, one of the things, and that makes a lot of sense, is because the energy is running, up and down through the body, And so, of course, if something happens energetically in one area, it's going to affect the flow of the rest of the stuff. The rest of the energy field is going to have that opening or that sudden closing or whatever it is, because it's blocking or opening that channel for all the chakras.
So the color we associate with that is yellow. And the sound is a little bit higher pitched than the second chakra, but it is oh, like go. Oh. And that's a certain vibration that affects that chakra and it will open it up. So if you know you are working on that chakra, that's probably something you need to incorporate in your daily life is that sound.
So sing Oklahoma where the wind comes sleeping down the plain. You'll be great.
Or if it's traumatic, oh my papa to me was so beautiful. It can go either way.
It can't.
So now we're getting into one of the hard hitters, the fourth chakra, which is the heart. And the heart is an amazing instrument in our body. It has we have just recently discovered that it has, each one of our energy fields actually puts out electricity. The body, different parts put out electricity. You can feel them, that we have a energy field around us. And the heart puts out more electricity than any other organ, including the brain. So it really affects a lot of stuff. The heart chakra, in what I'm reading talks about the color green, but I use the color pink a lot with the heart chakra because it's a gentler healer. But the green is absolute growth, and so probably if your heart chakra is healed, using the color green would be very helpful. But let me get to the right page. It's love and empathy. The ability to express and receive love, and to care for ourselves and to care for others, and to be empathetic with their issues. This is the chakra that I probably have the most problems with. I tend to shut mine down when I start getting, I tend to attract a lot of, not a lot anymore. I used to attract a lot of spiritual vampires that would come to me and just want to suck my energy off of me. And there was no return, no energetic return. So I was just being sapped dry and I didn't know how to stop it. I've learned boundaries since then. But when this is balanced, we have a healthy, empathetic relationship with other people and society at large. In other words, we can feel for them. I feel for you. I understand your feeling. I get it. We also feel open and receptive and willing to help others in need due to a recognition of love and virtue. So we are willing to help them, not looking for reward like financial, anything like that, but it's just strictly an altruistic out of love that I want to help you. But when this is out of whack, out of balance, we feel like we cannot identify with other people. It's a sense of seclusion and separateness. We feel very awkward. And I was that way for the first 22 years of my life. I didn't feel like I belonged on this planet. I didn't relate to people at all. I wasn't able to really identify with other people's struggle and pain because I had so much of my own going on. I couldn't see past that to help. We're afraid of our own vulnerability and receptivity and become hardened unto others. Or else, on the other hand, we might feel too receptive and blown about by trials and tribulations of others. And that was probably what I was doing more, was I was absorbing their trauma and not being able to process it. We may be unavailable to offer assistance, or we may be overbearing and want to over-identify with their pain. So what you got on that endocrine system?
That is run by the thymus. And I don't recall what that is.
We just went through this too.
We did just go through this, yeah.
Let me look it up.
You gonna get that? Okay.
I got it.
It affects obviously the heart, blood, and the vagus nerve, as well as the circulatory system.
So it's a gland that protects you. It's located between your lungs and is only active during puberty. After puberty, the thymus starts to slowly shrink and become replaced by fat. It releases a hormone called,
I
don't go
resemble
there,
that.
thymosin, and it stimulates the development of disease-fighting and T cells, or disease-fighting T cells. So working on the heart chakra right now probably is a real good way to fight off disease. You know, when T cells go down when you are dealing with AIDS and probably this pandemic, working on the thymus gland, it will not function throughout life. So we've got to find other ways of protecting ourselves against autoimmunity. It plays a vital role in the lymphatic system and the endocrine system both. And that's about all I see on that.
Okay.
But it helps fight disease.
Right. Strange that it is only active when you're like growing, and then it stops once you hit adulthood. I think that's very interesting.
I'll
Kind of
have to
makes,
think about that, because it would make children probably more disease resistant than adults.
which would
And I
make
don't know.
sense. They need to be.
Yeah, I remember someone telling me that, you know, babies, when they're first born, especially if they drink breast milk and something they get in the birth canal, gives them the immune system to fight off diseases and all. So typically babies tend to stay healthy longer, and they rebound quicker from illness a lot of times than adults do.
Mm-hmm.
We're very, you know, we don't want to cough on babies and stuff, but we're probably better coughing on a baby than coughing on granny. You want to cough on a baby?
Yes, I do.
A hairball.
Just on principle now. I'm going to have to go out and find one. Just walk up and cough. Especially this day and age. I'm sure that'll make me popular. Anyway, so that's basically what I've got with that, is that it affects the heart, blood, the vagus nerve, and the circulatory system.
Okay. Fourth chakra is a high-pitched ah, as in ma. This sound embodies compassion, and it vibrates with the heart. So, if you're going through a really difficult time and you need a change of heart, you probably want to do some ahs, the land of Oz, and get that open. So the fifth chakra is the throat chakra, and it's another one that I work a lot with people, because most of us, when we first start working on the chakras, this one is blocked, because we are told in our society, you should not say that. And this is the chakra of communication. You should not think that, you should not feel that, you should not say that. Oh, don't say that. You're going to make that come to pass. You don't ever say, I hate you, I hate, I want to die. Those things are things that you're not supposed to say, even if you're feeling them. So what happens is we block our throat, which does not relieve the feeling at all. We have no way to express it. So it blocks us, our heart up and our solar plexus up, and all those things below there aren't able to express our truth. So this one is the ability to express our truth to others and to develop our creativity. When the throat is blocked, it's probably a good time to get into your creative pastime, whether you're a writer or a sculptor or a painter or whatever. When it's balanced, we have the esteem to know that we can differentiate the difference between truth and lies. We can trust our ability to express our ideas and feel comfortable bringing new ideas to the table. We recognize that expression comes from joy of continuing to learn about ourselves and others. When it's out of balance, We have trouble expressing our thoughts. We also may become dogmatic and rigid in our intellectual understanding of the universe and closing new information and interpretation. And we're seeing this a lot right now, especially politically, where both sides, everyone is dug in. They are not going to listen to the other side. Their throat is blocked. That, or we're afraid to say. We're either saying dominating, we're attacking, or else we're afraid to say anything because we don't want anyone getting mad at us. I just got a tickle in my throat on that. Wonder what that means. I made a, I'll go on and share this. I made a commitment to myself at the first of the year that I was no longer going to post anything political or respond to anything political. And we are at the end of March, and I have upheld that online, whatever my belief system is. And it has done me a world of good. I'm no longer feeling that stressed over it. But I'll tell you, it is a hard thing when someone says something that disturbs me, I want to respond. But by having made this commitment, I back off, and it takes away the power. Being closed off to new information actually is very, very dangerous for us. We get stuck in a rut, and we stop growing spiritually. So what does that affect on our...
Okay, the throat chakra affects the thyroid, and it will cause bronchial and vocal apparatuses to have issues. Okay, now, oh, I'm sorry, I stopped in the middle of what I was reading. My apologies. It also affects the lungs and the alimentary canal, which is the tube that runs from your throat down into the stomach. Okay, so all of this, which makes sense because again, it's like to go with a couple of phrases that illustrate these two things, is it's like if somebody says something but you're not talking, you may be finding what they said hard to swallow, and it gets down into your belly. And you're really finding that it's hard to digest what's going on.
And you just had a stomach full of what they had to say.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, it's a very direct link between those. So, a lot of times people in stressful situations where they may not be expressing themselves, like at work, maybe you can't express yourself to the boss and tell him he's like an idiot. Things like that, people often end up developing ulcers, and so again, you've got that connection because you're unable to voice what's going on. You're having to swallow it, and then it directly affects that system to cause problems like ulcers and stuff. So again, you can see where that energy field is working together, with the chakras to in this case, to cause problems.
Now, given when I was born with the hole in my diaphragm, which is the muscle that separates the lower stomach cavity from the chest. And all my organs from my lower cavity were in my chest and grown together and scooted over. So my heart was under my right arm instead of on the left chest. I had a kidney grown to a lung and a stomach grown to a lung and all that stuff. And I believe it's really messed up that whole area, that whole chakra area on me. And I've looked at that with this heart chakra. I work a lot on my heart chakra because it just feels good. I use a lot of different stones, including amethyst, on my heart chakra. But pink is the one that we usually use. Is there something else you wanted to say?
Well, yeah, because we were actually talking about the throat chakra on that.
Oh, the throat? Oh, yeah. Well, we got down to the digestive thing, but it would affect my throat also.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I'm just wondering, I'm sitting here thinking about what you said about how your organs were rearranged and stuff. I really wonder, even though they put everything kind of back where it's supposed to be and stuff, the throat chakra, the two things that you mentioned with the lungs and the kidneys being grown together, that would be emerging in this case, of your thyroid and your adrenals, and it would be the throat chakra and the base chakra both that would have been combined together. And I just
So
wonder if that would
basically,
have
I
had
have my head up my ass.
well, yeah, but I don't think that has anything to do with this.
Okay. Phew. But no, I'm still unraveling this, what all this is meant for me. But I do know that at birth, because my stomach was up in my chest, I wasn't able to feed. I couldn't swallow any food, and that was one of the first indications that there was something wrong with me.
That's interesting. Just sort of following that through, there's another phrase that people use often, which is a fear-based phrase, which is, it felt like my stomach was up in my throat. Uh, Interesting. I don't know what that has to do with it, but it just put me in mind of that. That's kind of fun, whatever it means.
So the throat chakra, we use the color, it's blue, a light blue, and the tone is a higher pitched I, as in my I, and that stimulates it. And a lot of times when I'm working with people on their throat chakra, they'll start coughing or feeling the need to clear their throat. Sometimes they feel like they got a golf ball in there, and once that unblocks, stuff comes out that they've not had the guts to say before, and it is out of their mouth before they can stop it. But that's one that's a real important one to unblock, to be healthy, especially in relationships. If you have a relationship that's choking you off, where you can't express yourself to your partner, it's diseased.
I remember you specifically had some intensive work done energetically on your throat chakra and stuff. And I remember when it opened.
Yeah. I went to a sweat lodge.
That's why my hair looks like this, kids.
I'd never been through a sweat lodge before, and a sweat lodge is like a Native American tradition, but the person I did this with was not Native American, so I don't know how closely. But there's 4 rounds, and the second or third round, I felt like, I mean, they put hot stones in this like makeshift teepee tent thing, and it gets up to like 140 degrees in there, which is really hot. But I felt like my lips were bubbling off my face. It was very painful. And I got out, and he had me do some work to clear that throat. And I swear for the next few days, just stuff was coming out like brutal honesty, brutal. And it was just there was nothing I could do about it. I mean, it was coming out, and it did. And it eventually balanced out, but I had to get rid of that toxins, that verbal toxins had to come out somehow, and my poor friends caught the brunt of it.
Sure, it worked out for you, okay, but
look how healthy I am today. So should we move on to the 6th chakra, the third eye? Okay, the 6th chakra is to do with our vision and intuition. It corresponds with our ability to see clearly and trust our intuitive wisdom. This is usually the chakra I work on to help people get in touch with their spirit guides. It's their intuition. It's where we are intuitively know things about other people or all that stuff. The color we use with that is a dark blue or an indigo. I like to use amethyst on that chakra. It just seems to work really well. Plus, amethyst is a really good channeling stone. It helps to bring in information from the higher ups. When this is balanced, we have the self-esteem to trust our intuition and guidance. And that was one thing I had a hard time dealing with early on in this journey that I'm on, metaphysically, psychically, spiritually, was I didn't trust what I felt. I would do things and I wouldn't trust them. Other people trusted them. They thought it was amazing, and I was always second-guessing myself. We can see the truth through illusion. We can access the parts of ourselves that knows what's the best for us, and can even entertain reality in different levels of awareness due to the healthy functioning of the third eye. So we can actually see things from different perspectives. And I want you to go on and talk about the gland this does, and about, anyway, go ahead, because there's a real interesting part of this.
Yeah, what it affects is the pituitary gland, and it affects the lower brain, the left, the left eye, the ears, nose, and the nervous system. Which again I find interesting because the solar plexus and the the head chakra both affect the nervous system. So again, you've got this thing that's running through the body. You know, obviously, the energy is running through, as does your nervous system.
Now, I wanted to talk about just the left eye. So in a minute, we're going to step to the next chakra, which affects the right eye. And we'll get into the discussion on that, which is real interesting. But it only affects the left eye, and that's the intuitive side of us, the left eye, and then the hearing, and so on and so forth. So you're going to say something?
No, I'm going to cough. Thank you.
All right. The third eye is a very dark blue, very, very, very dark blue color. The colors of the chakras go just like the rainbow, starting with the root: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and then the final chakra is white. But anyway, this is a dark blue. It's indigo. It's very dark, and it's a high A, like hey, which is a high-pitched sound. And again, as we're moving up the chakras, we're going into the masculine energy. So getting the third eye open, using that one, if you're especially in a time where you need intuition and you need to trust your instincts, then you probably want to use that sound.
I can't help myself. Ever since I discovered or learned about the two eyes, you know, being controlled by the two different things, every time I think about that, all I can see is like this Picasso face. You know, yeah. That's it.
A spiritual Picasso. That's energetic Picasso.
Yep.
Well, now we're going to the last chakra we're going to work with, and there's many chakras of the body. Some people work with 13 of them. Some of them work with 8 different ones. But these are the 7s that I'm most comfortable with, and they're probably the most common to be worked with. And the 7th chakra is here at the crown. It's that crown chakra. It is spirit and our connectedness to the world and to the universe, and our connectedness to spirit. It is the ability to sense and know the interrelatedness of all things. If the sphere is in balance, we have a self-esteem about our place in the universal scheme. We have developed our faculties of faith and trust in the perfection of the universe and know that all is well. It's when you can tap into that, when that is in balance, it's the most amazing feeling in the world. It's almost euphoric. But when it's out of balance, we doubt the relatedness of things. We can't see how we are interrelated with people or places. And we're feeling that like right now a lot. One of the problems we have with this pandemic is that we're isolating, and it's real hard to feel connected when you're feeling like you're imprisoned in your home or wherever. It's hard to activate your faith. We may feel abandoned, angry, and alone due to a feeling of isolation in the universe. So just because you're isolated in your home does not mean you're isolated in the universe. And working on this crown chakra is real important for maintaining that connectedness. When the other side of it is that we feel ungrounded, and we have a sense of spiritual mania and an unwillingness to participate in the world, in the physical world, due to not wanting to understand or feel a part of it. And I like to tell a story about a woman I knew many, many years ago, who, it was right as I was just beginning to get into meditation. And I would go do meditation, guided meditation on cassette tapes back when they had those with a small group of people. They were guided, and it was really interesting. But I hadn't gotten real deep into it yet, and I was still curious about it. But I ran into this woman who I'd known, and there was just something. Her eyes were like glowing. They were really weird. And she just like had this smile on her face. And I like, how are you doing? She goes, oh, I'm amazing. I am meditating 6 hours a day. And she scared me. I was like, whatever she's got, I don't want it. It was like a spiritual mania. It was bizarre. I don't know how. I don't think she had a job. I don't think she had a relationship. I think that she was hiding out from reality by trying to live in the spiritual world. And I learned a phrase years ago: we can be so spiritually minded we're no earthly good. And I've never wanted that. I wanted to be able to maintain some type of grounding where I could live comfortably both in the spiritual world. Well, I mean, not just both, in the spiritual world, the mental world, the emotional world, and the physical world. And I don't do that all the time. But it's nice when I can get those in sync. So what?
This one affects the pineal gland or the pineal gland. I never know how to pronounce that. And it affects the upper brain and the right eye. So it's kind of like you've got one eye looking up to God and one eye looking out at the real world or at the energy world and stuff. And so there's this connection between the two that's bringing the two together, which I find interesting. But it also makes me think of Picasso face. So
right.
What are you going to do with that? But
so do you have more you wanted to share on that? Okay.
No.
If you're having problems, the sound for that is a very high pitched E, like me, like E, and we use the color white or violet, and that will stimulate that chakra and help it open up. But the key with this is doing the tones on all 7 chakras and starting with the root and working our way up. So what I would like to do, okay.
Gonna stop you there.
You just did.
Yes, I did. And I'm gonna in the future when somebody else is watching this.
So anyway, as I was saying,
one of the things that I don't think we're talking about or answering, and maybe this is for another podcast, I don't know, but we're going through the colors, the red, orange, yellow, green, or pink, blue, indigo, and white, violet. Mm-hmm. But what do you actually do with those as far as chakric work like this? Is this something that people can do as they're working this chakra meditation thing, or is this a totally different critter?
No, you're supposed to visualize them. Visualize these colors. And okay. I can real quick, if you want me to go through what the different colors mean.
Sure.
Do we want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the red, which is the ground chakra, symbolizes energy, passion, strength, courage, physical activity, creativity, warmth, and security. It's also associated with aggression. You use it to bring warmth and to burn out disease.
Oh.
It's a powerful color and should be used in moderation. So that orange is the one that is the second chakra, the sacral, and it symbolizes the individual's relationship to the external world, the needs and wants of the physical body and the ways in which these are satisfied, the world of work. In healing, orange may increase immunity and sexual energy. So right now, with this pandemic we're staring at, you probably want to activate the first and second chakra and really focus on those two. with the red and the orange healing colors.
My suggestion is to get an orange, set it in front of you, meditate on the color of the orange, and then eat it afterwards so you get your vitamin C.
That'll work.
There you go.
The next, the third chakra, is yellow. I, a lot of times, will use tiger's eye on this, the solar plexus, because it moves energy really, really fast. I like the feeling of tiger's eye on there because it opens it up pretty swiftly. The yellow is what they suggest. It symbolizes intellect, creativity, happiness, and power of persuasion. It's also associated with cowardice. So if you're blocked, then you're going to be feeling some cowardice. If you use it in healing, it promotes clarity of thought. That's the solar plexus.
That makes sense. I'm sorry. It makes sense that would be have the cowardice thing though, because that is your will. That's kind of the will center. And if you're feeling fear, or like you can't, and you can't survive or whatever. It's like you have this will that says, oh my gosh, I can't make it. Of course that would lead to the cowardice feeling.
I have a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the fourth chakra, which is the heart, is the color green or pink. But for this, I'll talk about pink here in a little bit. But green symbolizes money, luck, prosperity, vitality, and fertility. It's also associated with envy. So in healing, it's beneficial in all healing situations. It brings balance and peace to the healing process. I'm going to go on and talk about pink for a minute.
Yeah, that seems very strange because it's like I don't really associate the things that you were saying with, the finances and stuff like that. I don't really associate that as heart things.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that seems very strange.
This is information I've downloaded off the internet. I'm doing this because a lot of the people on the internet agree with it, but I have my own way of doing this.
Mama's calling. Sorry, my mom's calling, and the phone was starting to get louder and louder, and I didn't want Mom to. There's no guarantee she's not going to call back in a second, so let's wait for a minute. Before we go back in to this, there's two subjects I kind of wanted. Yeah, she's calling back again, as she does. There's two things I'd like to bring up briefly that I find interesting, and one of them is singing, because people, like in your car where nobody's able to hear you and stuff, people will really sing and they'll belt it out. And it's like, I know for me, it's like it feels good to sing, and I wonder if it's because as you're singing, you're activating all these different chakra areas.
Absolutely.
So I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit,
okay,
just because I can. But the other thing I thought was interesting, I finally last night at about 2 a.m. felt hungry. So I actually went out and got a little thing of green chili stew that John had and ate, finally. But it's been since like Saturday. But what I was going to say is,
oddly enough, that's after we did the sound thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it wasn't like I finally developed appetite, but my stomach was like, fuck you, eat something. It finally felt hungry, which it hadn't in 5 days. But I find that interesting because it's like in that situation with Tony, it was like I didn't feel capable of expressing. I was finding it difficult to swallow what was going on. And I find it real interesting that there was an absolute direct link where it was like, then for the next 5 days, I really had no hunger. I didn't want to eat. It was like everything just stopped, and I know that part of that's my mental. Okay. And I get that. Are you done yet, Mom? Anyway, But I thought that was very interesting that attack really affected from, I was talking about that tube that runs. Now I don't know if that would be of interest or not, but it's when you were talking about stuff, it was like I found myself like, that's interesting because it's like I had this attack in that hit my will center, and then suddenly I couldn't eat and I didn't want to eat, and it was like no will to do the regular normal things to take care.
Okay. I that part of it I think we can leave out, but I like the part about the singing.
Okay, cool enough.
And we'll get to that when we finish all this. We'll end it with that. We'll end it with the singing thing.
Okay,
So you ready to start on pink again?
let's go.
Okay, so pink, which is the color I use. Now green is what most of the stuff online talks about, and I'm giving that information, but my own personal preference is to work with pink on the heart chakra because it represents unconditional love and the healing of the heart, the healing of the emotions. It's giving love with with expectation of nothing in return. It's also the color of friendship and conviviality. It signifies a balance between the spiritual and the material world, which is exactly where the heart's located, between the spiritual stuff and the more physical part of things. So I use pink for that. And then we go into the fifth chakra, which is the throat, which is a blue stone. And blue represents the color of spirituality, intuition, inspiration, and inner peace. It's also associated with sadness and depression or the blues. In healing, blue is used for cooling and calming, both physically and mentally. It indicates serenity, contentment, and spiritual development. But it also is a stone of communication. I mean, the color is of communication. And when it's open, it's a calm communication. It's not, when you get angry and you're yelling at people, your voice constricts, and it's not that. It's a calm, reassured type of communication. The third eye is indigo. I use amethyst. Indigo is associated with psychic ability. In healing, indigo is used for relaxation, reassurance, and promoting psychism. It also represents spiritual truth. So that's a good color to use on the purple, and all is a good color to use on the third eye. Purple, which is the next one on here, actually is associated with power, both earthly and spiritual. In healing, it's used for mental disorders and also for becoming one with spirit. It is good for higher spiritual development. And then the white light, which is what we use for the crown chakra, is associated with truth, purity, cleansing, healing, and protection. It's a good general healing color for removal of pain and suffering. The rest of it is just kind of psychic babble, the rest of what's written here. You can also incorporate brown, which is a very grounding, earthy practicality, down to earthness. Black is also represented in here. I use black in the ground chakra a lot of times because it represents the unconscious and the mystery. It helps promote really deep meditation. If you see black in other chakras, it means that there's some type of blockage. But anyway, we are...
There's one other color, actually two other colors in here that it talks about. Mm-hmm. Yeah, did you want to talk about those?
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Silver is strong purging of field. It's an opalescent kind of silver used to charge the sixth level. So the sixth level would be up here in this area. And so if you're trying to charge up this area, not necessarily, am I going to say that? Yeah. So it's like if you're trying to get rid of stuff or you're trying to build that up, you would use a nice kind of pearlescent silver type of color. Gold is for restructuring, and that's for the seventh and it's does strengthening, and it charges your energetic field sort of all over. So a lot of times it's good to like surround yourself in meditation in kind of a goldish light.
Did we do the sound for the seventh for the crown chakra?
I don't think so. What is it?
E as in me.
I don't think so. So let's go ahead and I can edit that into the right spot.
Okay. So the seventh chakra, which is a crown, is a very high pitched E as in me. Um, and so we've got the oh, I mean ooh, oh, I, A, E. So y'all ready to try this?
Actually, I wanted to say one thing previous to that. I was thinking about, the use of sound and stuff. And it got me thinking about music and how, like, especially when you're out driving and you're in your car and you put on music, people as a rule really like to sing in their cars and stuff where nobody's around. And I think it's because it can really belt out these sounds. And I think that it gives you kind of your energy rhythm as well, because it's like, if you, it depending on what rhythms or beats that you like, it may be indicative of the pulsation of your energy field in that moment. But I think that as you're singing, you're hitting all the notes in the various chakric areas and activating them in bits and pieces. And I think that that's why it feels so good to sing, because there are some songs, and I'm not much of a necessarily a singer with other people, but I'll tell you what, in my car I'm like jamming out. And there are even some songs, even more than others, where it's like, I mean, it's like I hear them and I immediately am just like, yes. And I am going to sing that song. And I may sing it several times. I may play that thing over and over and over again. And I think it may be because in those moments that those are the chakric areas that are needing to be cleansed or opened, are, the ones that those notes are hovering around.
One of the things I do, and it seems like it's on a weekly basis, is I get on YouTube and I pull up karaoke music, and it has the words with it, and I just sing. My poor son probably gets tired of hearing me do it, but I have headsets on so I can't hear him. But I just belt it out and I sing my songs, and it gets rid of my depression. It helps with creativity. It centers me. It helps me get a good night's sleep. So I absolutely agree with you. There's something
Yeah.
going on there that's spiritual. I don't know, and
Well,
mental and emotional.
yeah, it's interesting because pretty much every culture has a musical style. And if you take music from one culture to another where they've not heard it before, they will still understand without the words or anything. They'll still understand the feel of the music. You can understand if it's a sad song or a happy song or an aggressive song or a sexy song. All those things kind of travel culturally, across cultures. And so again, I'm wondering if that has something to do with the activation in the energy fields, as to how that brings out those emotions and stuff in us. I just
I
think it's a
believe it
fascinating
must.
concept.
I just believe it
I think
must.
it's
I think that's a great, great point.
yeah.
So let's go
So
through the
sing your
sounds.
songs in the car.
Let's go
Give
through
me
all the
give me
sounds.
one moment before we go through all the sounds. I want to close my door because I don't want to be howling and having John getting disturbed.
Okay.
I'm back.
Okay. So we're going to go through these sounds, and I want you to participate with us. And here's the thing, especially if you're cooped up at home over the next few weeks or next few days or however long this lasts, I'm going to suggest to try this. Just run this video towards the end to this part. And every day, once a day, go through these. They suggest that you do each of these tones 7 times. Now, given my experience with this, my lung capacity cannot hold out 7 times. So we're just going to do one as long as we can hold it. And then if you want to continue and just like pause the thing and do it 7 times, that's great. Or if you have a specific chakra that you want to work on throughout your day, just memorize the note and do your thing. But it does need to be out loud, so you probably don't want to be in the middle of Walmart. Or maybe
Well,
you
you
do.
might.
Maybe you
Right.
do. Who am I to judge? So anyway, the first sound we're going to do is the root chakra. And again, it's the base of the spine. And it is like cup. And it is a low tone. So you ready? Take a deep breath. And breathe.
Doing it.
And now the second chakra is oo, as in you, and it's going to be just a little bit higher. Ooh.
That one was okay. Go ahead. We'll
Why didn't
see.
you participate?
I did. I
Okay.
did. Did you see my little lips going?
I didn't see you. It froze up again. We had this problem last night when it froze up. See, it's freezing up now.
Is it? Am I frozen?
Okay, the third chakra is the solar plexus, and it's O as in go, and it's a little bit higher, so it's Oh. The fourth chakra is the heart. What's the matter?
Were you tapping your fingers?
No?
Very strange. I was hearing this weird little rhythm, and it was heart rhythm. It's very strange. It was just while we were sitting there after that note. Just a thing. What
Oh,
about my
I was
knees?
tapping my feet, my toes.
Ah,
I'm
okay.
doing it now. Can you hear it?
Not as loudly, but yes.
Okay. There's
You're
my
freaking
toe.
me out, man. Freaking me out. Stop it.
The fourth chakra is the heart chakra. And the sound for that is ah, as in ma. And the tone is just a little bit higher. So it's ah. The sound embodies compassion. And the fifth chakra is the throat. And it's I as in my. And it's just a little bit higher. I. And the sixth chakra is the third eye, and it's A as in say, and it's a little bit higher. And now the seventh chakra, which is the crown, is E as in me. And it's going to be the highest of all. So it's E. And what Faye and I have discovered is that she has an easier time with the lower sounds, and I have an easier time with the higher sounds, which is interesting because the lower sounds represent the more feminine energies, and the higher sounds are the more masculine, which seems really backwards in my head. But
Agreed.
those are the rules. I didn't write them.
Oh, sure you didn't. Now you didn't write them.
Anyway, that's what we have for you today. We hope this helps during your time of being in this weirdness that we're in. You're going to be okay. I just want you to know you're going to be okay no matter what happens. You just put one foot in front of the other and stay in today. Don't look at the future. It's too crazy at this point in time. But we wish for you healing.
Indeed. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. Maybe subscribe if you haven't already. Share. We would really appreciate feedback as well. If you found any of this useful or interesting, or if you have any ideas on this, we would love to hear it. Also, because of the plague, we may be stepping up the amount of podcasts or readings that we do over the next couple of days, just because we want to give you guys stuff to listen to and to unboardify yourself. So tomorrow we are probably going to continue on with some of this about the use of the various stones that you can put onto the chakras and some other healing tips.
And we will be doing a guided meditation.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is that we are going to be doing more readings. However, we are probably going to be opening a different channel for those. And the name of that channel, once we open it, will be the Crystal Gazer. And it'll be all the readings, the tag team readings and stuff that we're doing. And that way, you will be able to find those easier, or you'll be able to find the podcasts easier because they will be separated out. So anyway, again, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Have a great day.
We're out of here.
We are. Well, not really. We're staying here in our respective...
You're out of here.
No, hey, yes, you're out of here. Ciao.